What's up, men? Welcome to the Male Cartel Podcast. Let's get started.
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just going to be honest.
It's okay to be fat.
Dispelling toxic masculinity and really redefining what it means to be a man. Men can cry. So it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be weak.
I'm telling you right now, not everybody wants to see you win.
You seem to be more woman than you are man. You don't have any manly qualities.
You give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay, it's necessary. How are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up. These men, they're doing impossible things.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Be a dangerous man. Being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. You can't be a good man if you're not a dangerous man. You say one disrespectful thing to my wife, I am not only willing, but I'm able to inflict great bodily damage.
I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim. I can't explain it, but you better feel me. Winners win and losers lose. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't know how it happens, but winners win. And if you create a culture of losing, if you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture. What's the matter with you? There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Here's your host, Nick and Shane.
That's what we're talking about. It's gonna be fun.
Hey, it's rolling.
Oh, you're ready for me?
Yeah,
I think that's how we start.
Yeah, you were supposed to start it.
We're 1 year in. Welcome, Male Cartel. This is our 1 year episode. I didn't even know we're rolling. I didn't know we were live. I'm here with Shane.
Yeah, and I'm here with Nick.
And
we're here with Producer Carrel. C Money.
Carrel, say hello to the Male Cartel.
I can hear your voice.
Yeah, I do exist.
He does exist. He is not on video, and so anytime he talks, we'll just have to put up a little photo of him or keep up our photo. But he is here live with a microphone.
Yep, I'm pumped. We got a ton. We have like 17 questions to ask you, Carrel. So hopefully you're ready to talk.
We'll narrow that down to 2.
Narrow it down to 2. What would be the 2 questions you would ask Producer Carrel for our listeners, of course, because we know a lot about him.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to have the superficial, like, if you were to be able to have lunch with any Bible character, I would want to know, what are you looking for in a woman?
That's right.
Yeah, it's gonna be
short. What you want her
she's
short?
Gotta be short. He likes
husky?
short.
You like them husky?
Skinny,
meaty,
thick,
yeah, meaty. What
so
kind? What do you like? What do you like? What's your preferred? Everybody's got a preference.
Yeah, I know. Well, and they know from what you have said, you all have said, but no, Christian woman definitely got to be in the Word.
Okay.
So
what does that look like?
Got to be in the Word. Does her name?
Because she got to have the bread of life, right? So she got to love carbs. So husky.
From what you all say,
husky it is.
Where does that bread of life need to be? On her hips or like
on the thighs?
On the arms?
On the arms. You like hairy arm women or no hair?
I like the next subject. Let's move right on with the interview. I knew it was going to be a setup.
This is not a setup. The people want to know about Producer Carrel. This is our 25th episode. We're 1 year in. Some podcasts don't even make it past a few episodes. Definitely not a year.
So it's not going to make past this one.
So, Nick, yours obviously looks like your wife, right? That's your preference.
That is my standard.
Oh,
that is.
Let's go.
That
is it.
It's very wise for you to say that.
Yep.
Well, you don't get married. You're not married for almost 24 years being stupid.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, you get lucky, and then you know when to cash out.
That's right.
Win
I
the
told
lottery,
her the other day
it.
she's my addiction.
Oh, dang. The addiction.
So we got she needs to be in the Word. I don't know if that's her name. She's got to be short. What else? Do you like them? You like them like pale skin, dark skin, like a little bit of sun kiss? Or?
What's your preference? You want them African American, like skin tone? Like what's your preference? I've dated every color in a crayon box. So like, and I wind up the only brunette I ever dated. I married her.
So he's dated Barney.
So I dated Barney. A purple people eater. So what's your preference? What's your preference?
If it's the one that God has for me, it doesn't matter.
Hey,
but that's true. But he gives you an attraction.
Like I like meat, okay, but
I don't like as much meat as you guys have said I do.
Yeah, I like meat, and so when I go to Popeyes, I'm always gonna like I love the breast at Popeyes the best. But if I'm grilling on the grill, I like a thigh. So like there's preferences in the meat. What's your preference in the meat?
In shape. How's that?
Hey, I'll take that.
All right.
I'll take that.
That's nice.
I thought you can't be about 5 bills in his shape.
I thought when we asked one time, he was like red and yellow, black and white.
They're precious
in the sight.
Yeah.
So I thought that was his preference. He was okay. What about hair color? You like the redheads? You like
wigs?
Brunette? You like wigs?
You like wigs? You go for a smoochy smooch and it turns sideways? Is that, or do you like them ponytails, braids,
perm?
Or you braid, perm, braid, perm, curly hair? What do you dig?
Flat iron?
If she's in shape, it don't matter.
Oh, bald.
So she could be bald.
She can be bald.
She could take her wig off at night. Boom. Your future wife could just lay in bed with you, Carrel, and take her wig and set it to the side.
I'm starting to get an image of someone.
I'm thinking
Pinkett Smith.
Oh gosh! Oh no!
I mean, she's married, but
don't make it out.
That's the image.
Yeah.
You know, a Jada Pinkett Smith,
Yeah.
bald, in shape.
Yep.
I don't know how short or tall she is.
She's got to be short.
Amazing.
All right.
Carrel's got it for Jada Pinkett Smith, or the type. The type.
So, what's your favorite food? Because I've always wanted to know that.
Shrimp.
To be completely honest, your favorite food?
Italian and seafood are tied at number 1.
Tied at number
Okay.
1. So if you can get a seafood medley pasta. Hey, if there's any ladies listening, because 15% of our audience remains to be about females. So if they've been tuning in to try to find what kind of guy they need to look for, and they're single, maybe send Producer Carrel a message and invite him to a seafood Italian
bar mitzvah. Let's
bar
go.
mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah.
Anything. He'll take anything. Hey, because every time I come in here to see Producer Carrel, he's eating Chick-fil-A. So I know he loves Chick-fil-A, but I was curious.
I got a third question.
All right, go for it.
Because I know the audience is dying to know this.
What he looks like?
Well, they've seen photos of him.
Okay.
How many times in 25 episodes have you cussed us out silently in your head?
Yeah, that's good. That you just hate us in that moment. Because you ain't supposed to hate long term, but like in that moment, in the moment.
You can hate, but then forgive.
That's right.
How many times have you had to forgive us?
Yeah. Honest.
Let's just move on. Next,
I think the camera's been on me the whole time.
It has been because I've been distracted. There, now he's on Shane. It's gonna be out of sync, people. Sorry, I can't do all that multitasking.
All right, more than 20 and 25. No, it's got to be more than that.
I don't count.
100.
I don't
so that's
count.
4 times per episode, including this one.
No,
right now, you don't really like us right now. I could tell.
That's good. I don't need to be on. I don't need to be on right now.
You think 4 an episode, Nick?
Oh, certain episodes for sure.
So
because some episodes we really haven't, engaged him or shared stories about him or.
No, you shared stories about
150 times.
That's 150 times
at least.
I'll agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move right along so that the ratings of this podcast go up because right now it's
ratings are
pretty
sky
probably
high.
Going to be skyrocketed now.
Now the video, the video is going to be all
miscombobulated,
but that's okay because this is a special episode.
It's special.
We only have one video, so that's it. We're not recording on any of the other cameras today, so we're not. There's no fixing it. There's no fixing it. It's just gonna be me. Sorry, everybody, for the first few minutes. That's it. So, if you live local to Augusta, Georgia, you can go to the Publix on Washington Road near the Augusta National. Go check out the Deli Ladies and see if there's one that looks like Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yep.
And there you go.
And that's the person he's been spitting game at or risen up.
Wow.
So I bet you go in there with some Twizzlers because you the Rizzler. Risen them up.
All right, on with better banter.
All right, we'll have more conversation with you in a little bit, Carrel.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Just stay near that mic, Carrel.
We're the hosts.
So.
Yeah, but I got control over the mics.
What you been doing?
We don't want to have to hire a new producer.
That's true. Ain't got no money.
This is we've made 0 cents off of this podcast. So, but we've not asked for anything either. So.
Yep. There's a lot of stuff in the works though.
So Shane, what's up? What's been going on?
Man, couple things. I was in Homestead / Miami last week.
Oh yeah.
So that was fun. Working with migrant centers there, and it was great. Went to the beach yesterday. We took 37 of us went with our high school kids. We did have a cutoff, and we had fun. So I'm wiped today, to be honest with you. Yesterday was like just a long day. But check this out. When I was down in the Everglades, I was taken fishing by Pastor Alex. He's a guy there, and he's phenomenal. You would love him. Just a man's man. Loves the Lord. Loves his family hard. Just a really great guy. They took me fishing for one of the 2 fish that's on my bucket list. So I only have one left. That's a tarpon. And so the other one was a peacock bass.
Did you catch it?
So this is how it went. You know, I caught one, yes. I actually caught a few. But we get there within 15 or so minutes. They're really trying to get me to catch the fish, and I wind up catching one that was very large. Justin said that it was close to 7 pounds. They said it was more like 6. So I just know it was huge. As soon as I hung them, I was like, let's go. I work them to the side, and immediately in my brain was thinking, do I come over this rail and with the fish, or do I work it to the swamp? And so I had a moment of frozenness, in which I never usually have fishing. I'm usually calm, cool, collective. But I wasn't even really anticipating, honestly. Like, I just wasn't ready, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I lost the fish.
What?
He got over the rail and came off on the rail.
No.
And I went to grab him, and he fell into the swamp. And he was in the shallow, so I did what any man would do.
Jumped in after.
I jumped into the swamp. So.
And you wrestled an alligator.
I lost him. Then we fished a little bit more, just about 5 minutes more. We decided to go to the next part of the canal. We're like in the Everglades. But we rode bicycles up in this. We went to as far as the pavement could go, and then we took bicycles, which was super cool experience. And just being around guys who love the Lord and love their families, and just really cool. And so I went up catching another one, 3-4 pounds, which was great. It was in the picture.
Oh.
So I can scratch off the list. It was awesome. Just the whole experience was super cool. But when we got to the next location, looked over to the right, and yeah, there was an alligator, bro.
Yep.
And so who would have thunk in the swamp there's alligators? And so hearing the splashes, Justin was saying it probably was the same one that was there with the splashes. We just didn't see it. And so I don't know if it would have changed my trajectory, because I really wanted that fish. And so
How
I was
big
like,
was it?
The fish that I lost,
Well,
or
no,
the
no,
gator,
Gator.
man, it was hard to tell. It could be anywhere from 12 feet to 9, something like that. Substantial enough.
It was probably 20 feet.
So 20
Just
feet.
being-
Yeah, just being conservative. You know.
Big
and
humble.
But I missed the fish, bro. And Pastor Alex listened to our episode, last one, and it was very encouraging. With when I first met him live, face to face, he was just super encouraging about our podcast. And so,
oh wow.
So if he's listening now, man, thank you so much for taking me fishing. And it was just an amazing time with brotherhood and just being men and fishing and just being out in God's creation was just awesome. And so yeah, so it was a busy week last week, and it was fun. What about you?
Did you try to wrestle the alligator?
Listen, here's the honest truth. On Friday, we took our students to a alligator farm, the largest in the United States.
I think I've been there.
Airboat ride and all that, and it's in the Everglades. We're there, and true story. I got pictures to prove it. I was there, and a guy named Tyler. I was calling him Taylor because he looked like a tailor. And
Taylor now.
And so he had a beard, and I couldn't figure out if he was an alpha male, the way he was persona, but more he talked, the more I figured out he was really talking a big talk just to showcase that he was like rough and tough because he worked with alligators, but I think it was a facade. He really was an alpha for sure. So not that has anything to do with anything, but he works with alligators. It was really cool. So they have a 13-foot alligator. They had tons of billions of alligators. And so we're there to the wrestling, literally John Cena style alligators. And I'm on the front row and hanging out, and he comes in, I'm like small talking with him because he has another alligator too. He has one that's like 12 feet that's in his yard. You got to have if you have 2.5 acres there in Homestead, you can actually have a pet alligator. You're gonna need 2.5 acres. And so he has one that he's had for a long time. Sweet is what he says. And kid you not, he came up to me and he was messing with tape, black electrical tape. And he was talking to me and all this. And I know he was waiting around. When somebody's waiting to talk to you. So we're talking, and he looked at me and goes, "Hey," he said, "can you help me?" I said, "Yeah, bro. I got you, bro." I stood up, and I'm a giant compared to him. He's probably 5'6", but thick, but 5'6" and big beard. Looks just like he's from the swamp. And I'm just towering over him. I'm like, "Bro, I got you." Like, "Bro, hey, I'm ready, man." And there's 2 gators in the pen, 2. One's a female, one's a male. The female is more aggressive, but she's more like 9 feet. And then the other one's like 12 and big. I mean, 450, 500 pounds. Other one's like 180.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, "Oh, yeah, man. Like, we got this on lock." And then he says, pick somebody, one of your friends from the crew, from your crew. I said, "Okay." So I picked Bethany. She's my intern. She does all hunts, fish. We went noodling not too long ago, and she's awesome. She's actually one of Haley's friends, good friends too. They're pals. They're just like tit for tat, just country girls type of thing, and both like Fords. And so I pray for them. And so we get up there, and I'm thinking in my head, this is gonna be awesome. Hopefully everybody got their phones out.
Yeah,
your boy is going to wrestle alligator, and surely I can bring something to the table and help Tyler because he's looks like he's weak. So I'm thinking he wants.
Sorry, Tyler, if you're listening.
My friend Bethany's going to work with the smaller one with him.
Yeah.
And he had the tape. So I'm literally thinking we're going to hold him down and then tape him, and he's going to show us, the audience, how to tape. So we get over, and then he begins to a separate pen in front of everybody where they have 3-foot alligators, about like this. And he's telling us how to tape. In my head still, I'm thinking, he's teaching us how to tape. This is what we're doing. I would have put 10 grand. I ain't got 10 grand. I'd borrow 10 grand from Producer Carrel.
Oh, yeah.
And I would bet this is what we're doing. And then when he did, he asked if we can help. And we hold the baby gators, the 3-footers, dude. And I was like, "Oh, no, this is not what I signed up for." It was still really cool holding a gator about this long. Yeah, probably like this long. And so you're having to hold, and that was super cool, obviously. And I've held a gator like that before. But then we did this whole little showcase in front of everybody. It was cool. We put him in a separate pen in front of everybody. And then we sat down, and then he wrestled the ones by himself. And I was
we weren't there. You could have just told us, "Yeah, man, I had to hold a gator down."
I'm just saying, disappointment, man. And so this episode is brought to you by disappointment. And so I was disappointed in my bass, and I was disappointed in this, and so
the disappointing last couple.
And I'm disappointed that Producer Carrel didn't tell us anything about ladies, like his lady. Yeah. So This is disappointing. What about you, man?
Disappointing. Well, the reason I asked, you had sent a thing yesterday of a man trying to jump a hole on a pole, and it said a muddy, hole or whatever, and it was like, men are stuck at 16. Yeah. You said it's more like 13, because it was reminding me of this old golfer I saw on a reel, and he takes his jacket and tries to put it over the face of a gator, and then I guess he was going to try to wrestle it or do something. It was off the side of the golf course, and he slipped and fell. And so now he's sitting on his butt while the gator starts biting at him and attacking him. And, there was a moment you could see on the guy's face, and it was that moment of like, oh, no, I just made a mistake. And so I was just thinking how this old man in his mind's thinking he's stronger, younger, more quick than he actually is. And you go mess with a gator. This was probably 10 to 12 foot. I don't know, maybe a little smaller, but it was a good size one, and he almost got his arm bit off. And so it was just making me think about.
Remember that episode? I remember that reel.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but my last couple of weeks been just went and got my truck a couple weeks ago, so we were able to pick that up.
White Stallion.
Last time we recorded, I was going the next day, so everything worked out well there. So finally got a good solid vehicle paid for, no payments. We already took it up to the mountains for Haley's, my daughter's 16th birthday. So she had her sweet 16 and just wanted to go up to a couple places up there. We went to Cooters.
I don't know what that is.
Well,
Sounds
it
a little
is
weird.
from the Dukes of Hazzards.
Oh, I remember them. That's right.
Cooters.
Okay.
Mechanic with the tow truck. And so there's almost like a museum there. It's got Daisy's Jeep and the Charger and all kinds of different like toys and stuff like that from back in the day when Dukes of Hazzards was big.
Oh yeah.
And so we went there, and then went to Cade's Cove trying to see if we could find a bear or something like that. We saw a turkey and a crow, and I think that was it. That was about it. So that was all the wildlife we got to see. But other than that, it's been a very busy summer as far as just around local, taking care of stuff. And so
how'd your truck drive?
It drives great.
Compared to your other truck, how did it drive, like long distance and all that?
It's not as good on gas because my Chevy was a 5.3 liter. This is 5.7. So it's got plenty of power. There's a few things that need to be kind of taken care of and updated, but minor things. But it drove good. It's the crew cab, so it's got the back seat that kind of adjust, and then it will recline. So Gavin went with us, and then Haley was there, so they had a much more comfortable ride for a long distance. Wish I would have had it when I was, when they were a little bit younger. But I'm glad we got it. I already had to use it. We had to replace our dryer, so carried a dryer in it yesterday and some fence pickets to fix our fence. And just
did you pick up the dryer yourself and put it in the back of the truck?
Not in the back of the truck. I wasn't able to get it that high, but I was able to get it on the cart myself. So lady was like, "Let me go get a dolly," and there was one sitting right by. I was like, one of those flatbed dollies. I got it.
Say, I'm a man.
That's why I go to the gym. So
that's right. So you're gonna lift up dryers. See that?
Yeah. So, but other than that, just same old routine. No fun in the Everglades or Miami or anything like that. So,
but
I'm excited. This is our 1 year.
Yep.
1 year episode, 25th episode. We try to record every 2 weeks. Sometimes that's gotten off a little bit because of our work schedules, and especially during the summer, we've had a couple weeks here that's been trying to juggle. But man, it's been exciting.
What do you think we know, right? So one thing we do know is the impact of the show or the content. Not really like you and me, but just the content just makes causes men to think through like things and where they're at. And you always want to reevaluate your situation, yourself. You should always think like that. And so we hear all that. What do you think are some impacts that the show has had on you? Perhaps?
Well, personally, when we're in here talking about things, and of course, we run across articles and stuff, and that's kind of for over 25 episodes, whether, unless it's an interview, we've played different reels and talked about them. We've taken articles and reviewed them. So it's almost like, we're both pastors, and so for me, when you get up to preach something, now it's like, okay, people are watching you in that way as well. So for me, it's been served as personal motivation to kind of keep check on myself personally. Yeah. I can't talk about something if I'm not going to do it. And so this summer it's been very difficult. My workout schedule has varied, where I was consistently getting up at 3 a.m., going to the gym. That's become some nights at 9 p.m. now and some nights at 11 p.m. It's just varied. But in the back of my mind, it's like we talk about being disciplined in that way. I got to do it. Like there's no slacking off. I got to find a time to do it to get that 1% better in my physical health. And so for me, it served as not only motivation, but also kind of that accountability. When I run into one of our listeners, whether it be, I told you, a few weeks ago when we were at camp, I ran into a guy. I was like, yeah, Producer Carrel is here as well, who listened. I didn't even know he was a listener. And that's why we want feedback from people to know who's listening, who's tuning in. We want to know our male cartel. We want to know who's a part of the family, the audience. And so, but when you run into someone like that, like you want to reflect what it is you talk about. Yeah. And whether that be our character, our integrity, our physical, makeup, whatever that might be. So for me, it's served as accountability, but also as motivation to be like, hey, be who you say that you are. What about yourself?
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. Definitely accountability. Just you want to be true to yourself and true to your word. And so I think for me, that's been a huge thing. I would say also, just learning. I think I could tell you, and this is where I'm not, where I've gotten better, and especially, and that's, I think the podcast has really helped me out because I naturally take inventory of where I'm at. So I keep notes on my phone, and I have a pretty good memory when I'm in groups, and so I'll ask questions, and I know how men work, like say in Augusta or whatever, but oftentimes like I'll know how teens or men or how things work where I'm located at, but I don't do enough research hearing from other people outside, and so I think the reels, you get stuck on some of the real, I just keep falling like a rabbit hole. Yeah. And then reading articles and all that, and you're like, oh man, really? This is, everyone is dealing with this. This is not just Augusta thing. This is actually everyone that's around. And having gone to, like, even when I was in Homestead talking to a lot of different men, it's even the same thing there. Yeah. So it's like this is just the common thing because we're men and we're dealing with this. And so that's really like just, doing research, I think it's helped me get better at understanding situations. And so, and knowledge, me gaining more knowledge, I think that's been a huge thing.
Well, I think when we started this, we would talk about guys' stuff, challenges and all. And that's why we're like, hey, we need to do a podcast, not only for the humor side and the banter, but also to discuss these topics. But I don't, excuse me, I think it was much more widespread in the things, like we never sat there and was like, oh, we can talk about this and we can talk about this. It kind of forced us into learning more even about ourselves, about men, the challenges. So I agree with you on that. It's been a learning experience for sure to like, wow, there's these other issues. There's these other kind of stuff that men are dealing with. Even though we deal with them, it's not as, it's more subconscious, I think. Yeah. When you're going through it, you're not really thinking about it.
You know what's crazy though is when we sat down initially and then kind of wrote out all the first like 10 or so episodes, and there's like all these different topics and things that we want to hit on, and then obviously interviews and whatnot, but just the different topics. And really you feel like I feel like we've hit on most of the topics, like generally that deals with men, but there's so many layers to everything. Like you can't even do enough episodes for the amount of layers. And that's where I'm a simplest. And so sometimes, even when you would throw me a question, and the audience should know this, I mean, I've tried to do better the last 5 to 7 episodes, but you would throw the question, and it's like, what do you think? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool.
I agree.
I agree.
Whatever.
Yeah, you know, and I don't offer much because it's like I'm just a simplest, and so, but there's just so many layers, and I don't think I came in thinking it was like that, and thinking now is like, oh gosh, this is like really, really deep, and then when you're, and I think manhood is just so different than the culture today. I mean, it's like it's like a war.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a literal war, and so you're like, man, like you just don't sharpen your sword to just, oh yeah, well, it's good enough, and go. Like you watch any movie or you talk to people, like you're honing your sword, you're practicing your sword, you're continually sharpening the blade. You've got to keep it sharp, keeping your skills not so dull. So they're like, if you're in battle, man, there's no rest. There's just action, you know. There's always some type of movement and progress, and there's things that are happening. You just don't, you know, is it what is that terminology? Rest on your laurels?
Yeah.
I don't even know who Laurel is. He sounds like a pretty nice guy. But if you rest on him, you're not supposed to rest on him. Maybe he's a small guy.
Yeah.
But like, not supposed to rest on that.
I had to look that up. Excuse me. I had to look that up one time. It's your accomplishments.
Accomplishments. Okay, that's
for
it.
those
Spanish
who else don't know what laurel
is. That Spanish or German? German. Is it laurels? Is it German or something?
I think it's Old English.
Could be. Old English. I used to drink Old English.
Because I was like, who is Laurel and why are we resting? Don't rest on Laurel.
I know, right?
Especially if you're married.
It sounds like she's
don't
a girl.
Don't be resting on Laurel because that's a no-no.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, when we talk about certain topics as well, we're always up against a clock because unlike the Sean Ryan show, which I really enjoy, ours aren't 4 and 5 hour episodes or 3 hour episodes. You know, some people have talked about they're long. For us, I mean, really, because of the format, we like to kind of have the conversation on the front end, the banter and the humor, and so it, you know, I think it fits well where we typically land. But you're up against a clock, and so there's so much that could be talked about.
Yeah,
and we've even before some of the shows, we don't script anything. We just go, what are we going to kind of talk about? And sometimes we get into that conversation before the show. And sometimes we can't even talk about the things we've talked about or the things we've talked about through text. And so I think that's why the show continues on and will continue on, because we could talk about being a dangerous man more than we did in episode 1.
Well, 1,000%.
Or Men Do the Small Things, which was episode 2. And there's so much more we could talk about.
Well, could you imagine if we did, like the first few episodes, if we did script out a lot of the stuff, our episodes would be 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Just like a sermon, you know what I mean? It would just be super long because you talk it all out, you do a deep dive in the research, and then you're at that point, you're just like programmed to do it. You know what I mean? You're not even like being loose.
Right.
And as things are coming to your mind. And so I actually like how we do it now versus if we had to do that. But even when you do research, I know I've done some things in the past and then I don't even use it for the episode. I'm like, well, I guess it was just for my thoughts then because we didn't even use it for episode, and it's totally cool.
Well, and this is what we wanted when we're sitting around talking about stuff. We wanted to be raw like that. Now, of course, it's got to be in somewhat of a format that fits a podcast. You know, so we understand we're talking to a group of people and not just ourselves, but that is the reason we laid it out the way we did. Where we catch up. Like we're letting you into our lives a little bit. You may not care about that, but you also can fast forward it or you don't have to listen at all. I mean, we're grateful for every listener, but at the same time, this is us.
Yeah.
And we've never sat around like, okay, what can we do to get a bigger audience? What can we do to keep an audience? We decided to do this podcast thinking it would be maybe a group of friends who tuned in and we just wanted to have fun with it. We never expected that it would hit any kind of charts, much less number 47 in the country on the philosophy, category. And we don't stay there. Sometimes we're not on the charts. But we never sit there and go, okay, what can we discuss that would get us back on the charts? And so we just go, what are we going to talk about this week? And that's what we talk about. And so
I think that's awesome. And I think it really speaks to like like who you and I are as people. Like we don't chase that. We've never chased clout. It's not even like, and I say that's not an arrogant thing. That's just, I don't do it. Nick doesn't do it. Producer Carrel, you don't even, like, he's never asked to be on the mic. We kind of forced him to be on the mic today.
Yep.
And I'm just grateful that it's still in front of him right now.
He's being held hostage.
Yeah, pretty much. And so we don't sit there and go, oh, you're right. We don't. There hasn't been a time we go, oh man, we need to do this, this, and this, and then we can move up the rankings, and then we can get this sponsorship and all that. There's people that do that because they're trying to make money, and maybe it's a livelihood, just believing the best in people. Like, they're trying to do it to become a certain thing because the better their life. It's like, nah, man. We just want to help some men. I know for a fact we've helped a lot of men. Some of you guys are listening, and you actually help us, inspire us by responding to things and saying, hey, this really helped me out. That encourages us because, as we've talked about oftentimes, being a man oftentimes is just a lonely place. And sometimes we're just, we shouldn't grow where we're doing good, and we just want to, still do what we do outside of podcasting, and we do that. And sometimes it's just a grind, and sometimes it's a season where we're just kind of like getting a little weary, and then because you're just getting after it, And so when you get an encouragement that you're making a difference, it does make you feel like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can just keep on, You want to be used. Everybody, we want to be used. We want to make a difference. And so if we hear that, then it really just spurs us and it just encourages us.
Well, and when someone sends us a message, whether it be through social media or someone that we know even personally that has our number that we didn't even know was listening.
That's right.
And then they text us and go, loved this episode or whatever, and then tells us, I'm in this stage of my life, things we may not have even known, and how, something we said really challenged them or encouraged them or helped them, then for me, it makes me feel like, because we've talked about that, men do feel alone. Men do feel like people don't care what they're going through. They will isolate.
Yeah.
The suicide rate among men is higher than women, and so we know that. And those are the things we're trying to be engaged and to change or whatever that might be. So to me, when we have shared those messages with one another, which if people saw our text messages, they'll see it's not about clout. It's all about, like, we're amazed. Like, wow, look what this person said. Little old us just decided to start a podcast a year ago. And so to me, it also feels good that one person who just sent us that message or reached out to us now doesn't feel alone. They do have community. They do have someone speaking into their life.
Yep.
Now they don't have to face that challenge by themselves. We've either maybe given them some kind of inspiration, or they know they can reach out to us. And so to me, I feel like that's a win, because now one more man knows that there's someone out there cheering them on, encouraging them, challenging them, so that they can get 1% better. Or if they're trying to get in shape, or they're trying to be a better husband, like, we're doing what we can to partner with them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's exciting.
That's
That's one of the things I've loved the most, about this last year.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'd love to
100%.
hear from Carrel. He's learned a lot. I mean, I think we've all learned a lot about podcasting.
Yeah.
Like, none of us have run a podcast and all. What's been behind the cameras, behind not the microphone, in front of the microphone, I guess you would say. But what's been exciting for you? What have you enjoyed the most about the podcast? What's been like the most surprising? Share with us your thoughts, silent producer Carrel.
Well, with the podcast, it's just been great seeing both of you grow into your roles. As far as host, you've gotten more comfortable, and you should, because you're growing. And I think that's why people are listening to you, because both of y'all are authentic, and you're not, as you said, worried about the other stuff as far as ratings. As far as producing, starting out, if you listen to episode 1, you will not hear any breathing from these guys or anything like that, because I'm a music producer. You take all that stuff out, and that took a long time to edit. But just as listening to other podcasts, things are left in there where it's just, you hear a cough or something, it just makes it more authentic, like you're sitting and talking with the guys. Because essentially what happened, I polished it up so much, they go to another episode and they're like, who's this? So it's better to be authentic instead of polished. But over the course of time, I think you are polished now. And I think that's what keeps bringing people back to the show. And so I like it best when I'm not in there at all. That's my favorite part. But when you guys focus on the topics and the guests that you have in here, I think you are doing a good thing for the community.
I still remember when you were out out of the room. Remember that episode?
Yeah, I don't mind.
But those are every episode when we have a guest because we have
he's
to fit him
he's out the
there.
room.
So we kick him out for a guest.
I know. He gives up his room. It's like when your grandma comes over to your house and then you have to give up your bed for grandma.
Right.
For that aunt.
You could go
You
sleep in the garage. What has there been anything like surprising to you or anything like unexpected going into this? Like, because we asked if you wanted to be a part of it, so we had no. Yeah, I don't know what your thoughts were. I mean, from where it started to where it is, like, what were some of your maybe original thoughts versus where we're at now?
Well, just in all on how to get it done on top, because as you said, this is not our main thing that we do. But it's settled in now, and I mean, it's something I enjoy. I definitely enjoy the techie side of this, but I learn a lot listening from you guys. Over the course of time, because obviously when I'm editing, I hear a lot more over and over again. So, some things stick, and it'll be interesting to see what you guys, share ahead. It's hard to say. I just have enjoyed over the years seeing the transformation of YouTube becoming just really good at what you do. And the choices that you've made with the guests and all and the topics, I guess maybe that's somewhat, I don't know if I can call it surprising, because I don't know what they're going to say. But, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, and more of you, less of me.
How about the laughing? I always enjoy your laugh because sometimes you'll laugh behind the scenes on some of the my little hidden jokes or references or cultural things. You'll laugh. I'll catch you over there laughing. I appreciate that. I just wanted to let you know publicly.
There, I guess that's a surprise. Yeah, I never know what you all are going to say, so that's where the surprise comes in. I have no idea. So I'm just as surprised as you are about a lot of stuff.
Well, I just want to say, if you'll switch that camera back.
I can't do.
That's all right. I'll just tell you. Carrel's mind is in 1,000 different places. One, I want to thank you because as we got this started, I gave you a bunch of clips to put the opening together, and then people hear your voice every episode because if they don't, some people just probably skip the intro now, but those who are new, because you not only put all that together, but then also served as the voice of encouraging people to like and share. And we had several run-throughs on that to try to get it at the right, kind of feel the best that we could. And so I want to thank you not only for your continuous putting, up with us, but also editing the opening song and intro, the outro, just all that you have done, because without what you have done, there would be no Male Cartel.
Yep.
So
100%. We're grateful. A little bit of graciases to you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
We look forward to helping you find your own
the love of life.
Jada Pinkett.
Jada non-husky.
Jada Pinkett Davis.
Boom. That sounds good.
JPD.
And she can make a sandwich. Work in the deli. Husky, but athletic. Working out.
Yeah, see, I don't know this husky stuff. Keep talking. I keep learning stuff about me I had no idea.
Listen. I had a kid one time explain who his girlfriend, and he meant to say thick, but the word that came out of his mouth was husky. and it was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. He was a middle schooler talking about his girl, and I was like, "Oh man, what's she like?" And he's like, "Well, she's he couldn't come up, and the only thing coming out of his mouth was husky." And I was like, "Bro, like I don't know if I would have a girlfriend named Husky if that's like your preference." But he was like, I said, "You mean thick?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's what I meant." And I was like, "Bro, you can't say husky. How you gonna introduce? Hey, tell me about your girlfriend that we have not seen. Just give us a image." Well,
wasn't there some jeans that were husky?
Yes.
Was it? I don't
think
remember.
So.
Yes, back in the 70s, because I had to wear that junk.
Did you really?
Yeah, in elementary
school. Man, I didn't have no.
Did it have like a wolf or something on it?
I don't remember what it had. What I do remember about husky jeans were that when they were brand new, they were like cardboard, and you had to break them in about the first week of school while they're laughing at you.
Yeah, old boy probably just saw that brand of jean. So, and
I'm looking right now, bro. Yeah,
but
husky jeans that sell at Kmart.
Yep, it was a
Man,
thing.
You are Johnny on the spot. Husky on the spot. Yeah, man. They sell them at Kmart, bro. Husky. Well, man, here it is. Boys relax straight jeans. I'm glad it's straight. No homo. Art class. Light wash 12 Husky.
There you go.
Yeah. Get you some straight non-homo pants.
So
Husky.
We had a major thing happen that we wanted to talk about over the last week since our last episode, and that was the attempted assassination of
Where's Kevin Costner when you need him, bro?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
President Trump, which I get your thoughts on it, but we wanted to kind of talk about a few things real quick because of time on that. So when you saw that, what were some of your thoughts on that whole scenario? I didn't see it as it happened live. Someone had actually texted and said, he may have been shot. And by the time I turned it on, it was already done, but like there were already the images of him, not only being tackled, but then, or the video, but then of him, kind of standing up and then finding out that Corey Compatore, I think his name was shot, all of that. So were you out of town with that? Or what
I was in
on?
Homestead, Miami area, riding with Justin Gray. We're riding. His son calls. It's like an emergency conversation. He's on speakerphone, comes in, and he says, Trump just got shot. I was like, what? So I pulled up my phone, and I started watching clips immediately as he was talking about it. I was just like dumbfounded. It's not a surprise as all the heat. I'm not a big political guy, but when I saw Uncle Joe, he was like not fit for anything on the debate, and then Trump looked very sharp, to be completely honest, and so he was on top of it. And remember, he's an older guy. I mean, like he shouldn't be sharp. I mean, but for his age, he's like top 10. I mean, he's like very sharp.
78.
78, yeah, super sharp. So people give him a hard time and stuff, and you're like, bro, 78. Have you ever had a conversation with a 78-year-old? And I mean, he's just quick on it, knows what it's like. He's just sharp. So I figured a couple things were going to happen from that. And so I remember seeing people upset on different TikTok reels people were sharing on Instagram and the X, aka Twitter. And then I just felt like something happened. So that wasn't surprising. But what was surprising is that he turned his head in just a nick of time, hit his ear. He's obviously bleeding. There's a lot of blood around for an ear. He stands up, and they're Secret Service, and he's yelling, "Fight, fight, fight." And obviously there's tons of questions afterwards. Within 12 hours, I'm just like looking on my phone, and you're figuring out Secret Service and all this other stuff. I had tons of questions. Why was this, and this? And now I feel like I have a really good, my opinion, from my research, what I believe is probably what would happen. Kind of what I'm kind of more convinced of. But yeah, man, it was crazy. What about you?
Well, when I saw him emerge from the stage, and of course you got that photo of him beneath the Secret Service agents with blood dripping down his face. But when he rose up, and then they're trying to get him off stage. I thought it was so cool. Like he was like, "Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes." Like he's not even concerned about his own life. But the moment he like put his fist up and started saying fight, 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 and then after that he like pumped his fist a few more times as they were trying to escort him off the stage, because I thought maybe it hit the woman Secret Service agent in the head. Personally, it was like the inner Braveheart.
Oh yeah, dude.
The inner like gladiator. It awakened.
Oh yeah.
That's what we were talking about our last episode. So if you haven't listened yet, go back. We talked about the different types of men. I text you that picture, and I just put alpha.
That's right.
I don't care where you land on politics. I think most people that would listen to this are probably going to align closer to us. We haven't gotten political, although some of these things have been hijacked into politics. It comes down to values and beliefs and things like that, and sometimes we're supporting certain candidates because that they align with that. But beyond where you're at politically, like if you're a man, when that happened, I would think something would spark inside of you, because it was that raw to have the mindset to even do that. Most people I think would be ducking and trying to get off stage because there's open fire. And you always think about like, what would I do in that situation? And how would I react? Would I run towards the gunman or away from the gunman? Would I, what would I do? And so I think he said he had heard from the Secret Service agent that at least the one gunman was taken out, not knowing if there were others. But just the fact of like, I'm in this moment, have that mindset to tell people to fight, fight, fight. To me, it just, my inner man just responded to that.
Oh, me for sure. Definitely when he was fighting through the crowd, through the guys and the people and saying fight, fight, fight. I definitely was like, it was like the Patriot.
Yeah.
Like I was proud, like very proud, and we wanted to go like, Tim Allen.
Right. It is that inner beast.
Yep.
It was savage.
Yep.
And so Tucker Carlson was talking with someone, and I forget who it was. Maybe it was John Rich, country singer, and he said in that moment, basically he became the leader of the nation. And once again, I'm not here endorsing Trump or anything like that. I'm just drawing a comparison. You now have Kamala, if that's how you pronounce her name, Harris, as the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party because, Grandpa Joe can't make it any longer. And so my mind goes to what if she was in that moment and someone's shooting at her, how would she react?
Oh, gosh.
And I just don't see that in her nature. I didn't see it necessarily in Trump, other than we know he's a fighter from the various different things. But she's probably the one ducking down, getting off stage as quickly as possible, not with blood coming down her face, savagely saying fight, fight, fight. And so, as Tucker was saying, and I agree with him, like Trump in that moment showed that he is essentially the leader of the nation.
Yeah.
He may not have the title, and I think we all agree with that. You don't have to have the title to prove who the leader is. That's usually the alpha. It's like the leader just emerges. And in that moment, he showed, like, to me, that's, King Arthur. That's, it's Braveheart, even though he's being ripped open, yelling out freedom. It's just that's the leader. That's the guy saying, hey, I'm going to lead this fight, whether I die or whether I live, like there's something to fight for.
Yep.
And so it really kind of provoked in me, what is it that we should fight for?
Yeah.
Especially as men. What is it? Fight, fight, fight. What should we fight for? What are your thoughts on that as men?
As men, obviously you fight for if you're a husband and if you have kids, you fight for your family. Obviously, you fight for that. That's a given, your responsibility. So you should always fight for that. It's worth fighting for. I think you fight for the right thing, whatever the right thing is. We as Christians believe the right thing is set up in Scripture, and so I think that we fight for what's right. And even though that rhymes, I didn't want to drop bars with you guys today. And so, but you do, and to do the right thing, and you're going to have to fight hard because the wrong thing is always screaming at you, and the wrong thing is always going to be the easiest thing. And so doing the right thing will always be. I mean, something we tell teenagers all the time is that sometimes you're in a room and everybody's like picking on somebody, bullying them, and like a true bully, and not like roasting a little bit and you're having fun because you're bros, but like a true bullying where somebody's getting pointed out and singled out and it's really bad, and you're just laughing. You're not joining in with it, but you're laughing at it, not doing anything about it. You're part of the problem, and so that's what you want to cultivate. Somebody to step to the plate and say, "Hey, this ain't right. This ain't right." And so, I think you fight for that, and ultimately, I think we fight for what we value. And so we value life, from the womb to the tomb, and so that's a huge thing for me. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of breakdowns within those, but just on top of my head, that's kind of where I land. What about you?
This is my opportunity to go 1,000%, because I don't know what you said that I could add to,
Yeah.
1,000%.
You have to give me a little more than that, though, Nicholas. Pull a card.
I pulled a shaking card. I think right along what you're talking about, what's right, what was in my mind is basically we fight for truth.
Yeah.
And, what is true, and what is not true is not true.
Yeah.
Now, there can be opinions, and sometimes opinions turn out to be true or false, but we don't really fight for our opinion over what is true.
That's right.
We can have our opinion of what is true, but then there's absolute truth. And I think in this culture that we live in, we have been inundated with relativism and that which is subjective versus absolute hard truth. No one wants to accept that, because then it either says that we are right or we are wrong.
Yeah.
And so there are times and I think that's another thing we have to fight for, is to keep our integrity and our character personally.
Yeah,
because there are so many temptations and there are so many opportunities for us to lose that.
Yep.
And so we have to be able to fight for what will give us integrity as people, but what will also maintain a good character that honors God and gives Him glory. But fighting for that, to be people of integrity, there are times we have to acknowledge that we were wrong about something, or that we weren't right, and that we were misguided, that maybe we saw something and kind of from an initial perspective, drew a conclusion that maybe wasn't right. And that's why, we hear the words flip-flop oftentimes, especially in politics. Oh, they flip-flopped, or well, people are allowed to change their mind. And I think we all should be people who, as we learn truth, we're willing to change our opinion, or to change what we believe based on what we see as solid, absolute, unchanging truth. So I think truth, there's so much that intertwines with that, so much that is connected with that we have to fight for. In just a moment, we're going to, before we close out here, one of those things that with Elon Musk and his son, and one of the things that culturally we're up against. But then I would 100% say that we fight for our family, and we fight for the vulnerable.
That's right.
My family is going to come first, and I love, I hope I don't butcher his name because he is a hero, Corey Comparatori, the retired fire chief and fireman, who his split-second thought with bullets, ringing around him and being fired around him was to place his body, like a Secret Service agent was doing to Trump. And shout out to them. We know they dropped the director, and somebody dropped the ball big time, but not those agents who put their body over Trump, even to the place where when they were hovered over him, I saw one of their methods, and this tall guy like bends over so his head and his torso covers the top hole where no one's going to shoot what's below it. They're going to hit that agent. And I thought that was very unique and very interesting in their technique. But Corey does the same thing to his wife and his daughter. And he took a bullet to the head, and he died probably instantly. And very tragic. But that's a hero.
Yeah.
And that is, we're not to fight against the other political party that we disagree with. We fight for truth. We fight for principles. But we, as the Bible says, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood.
That's right.
They're not our enemy.
Yeah.
There is a system, and there's a principalities, and there's lies that we fight against with truth and with the gospel. But Corey in that moment demonstrated, I think, 100% what we've talked about, being a dangerous man, protecting your family, and he is a huge hero. And then there were a couple other people, I don't have their names, who were injured, and I don't know if they were protecting their family, but I know Corey was.
That's right.
And that to me is a reflection of what we should fight for.
And that like every movie we grew up with, or any show or things that we had a lean to, that the hero comes and saves the day, takes the bullet, takes it, and then you find culture today where that's not the norm anymore. It was like something that was I want to say a legend, but it's not a legend. It was just some kind of like myth from back in the day, when we would say back in the 1900s when we were young. And
John Wayne.
Yeah, like you took the bullet, and now that's not the norm. People don't do that. It's like you're for yours, and so that is something to celebrate, and just being a man. I'll say this before you shift to the Musk video, dude. You are so right about growing and it's okay to change your stance once you find out truth. And that's something to fight for as well, to fight through your own flesh, your own thing inside. You get your feelings hurt, and and we all know what that feels like as a man. You just want to pop off and say something or do something, but you can't do it because it's not the right thing. So we have this thing inside of us, and so when we think that our way is the right way, when really it's not, and you kind of put down your stake, and then when you learn better, you're supposed to do better. Yeah. And so then when you learn the right thing, then fight through like the comfort of like what you've always done, admit that you're wrong, and then move forward to the truth, to the right thing. That's okay. Everybody's allowed to grow. We should be growing every day. Yeah. My thought process on so many different things changes daily. I'm like, man, I'm glad I think differently about that. I never thought in all my years I'd be driving a Toyota. Yeah. And I am. Like, so it's cool, and that's using a car, so that's not a big deal. However, you have the right to change your mind, especially if you know truth. And so get with the Musk.
Yeah, and with that, as I pull this up, the reason I think coming out of a place where it's hard for people to change even when they come to know truth versus maybe man's preferences or opinions is two things. One is pride. Because now you got to admit you were wrong about something, especially if you were super dogmatic about what you believed. And if you discover that's wrong, now you have to humble yourself and go, I was wrong.
That's right.
A lot of people that's hard for. And then the other side is fear of what those other people are going to do in retribution or against you because you believe different now. Are they going to demonize you? Are they going to attack you? And I've seen that coming out of legalistic fundamentalism where people are fearful. They've discovered the truth of the gospel, but they're afraid of what people are going to say to them, try to destroy their character, and so they would rather be silent and stay in an environment that's unhealthy for them because they fear man. Yeah. And so I think those are a couple, and that's why you have to fight through the fear. You have to fight through the pride in order to, stand on truth. So this is a video. It's almost 2 minutes. But when we talk about protecting the vulnerable, I want you to hear the sadness. And if you've seen this video, you can even see it, of Elon Musk. And he's talking about essentially losing his son to the woke mind virus through this gender transition stuff. So we want to play this for you as an interview with Jordan Peterson. And then we'll close out with a couple thoughts and then what we're looking forward to from here. with the podcast. But before we wrap up, let's listen to what Elon has to say.
It happened to one of my older boys, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he
that was a lie right from the outset.
Incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
That's
so I was
connection.
tricked into doing this, it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
all right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. And we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
He talks about losing his son, and he was tricked, so there wasn't much fight that goes into that. But there are so many young people today who, and you deal with it in your field more than I do. I see it, but I think that gives us a picture of one of the things we in our culture are currently facing that we need to fight for, and that is for our vulnerable children who are being tricked, deceived, and lied to. And yes, people are doing it, but it's the evil, the worldliness within them, who Satan is using, excuse me, who Satan is using to misguide them. And that, as men, that is our responsibility. Mm-hmm. Sure, women can stand up for them and speak truth, but as men, we should be on the front lines. Yeah. And as Christian men, we shouldn't leave it up to the Elon Musks of the world. He's motivated because he's lost his own son. But as followers of Jesus, we're the bearers of truth. We're the ones that carry the banner of truth. And so one of the things we can do, I think, to fight for them is not only to speak up and to be on the front lines, but to also, be praying for our young people, be praying for Elon Musk's son, because the gospel can still reach him and can still penetrate his heart. And while we are not physically maybe in proximity to him, we definitely have a voice with God to go, hey, rescue that young man.
That's right.
Who he feels is dead and lost. We know that there is hope through the gospel. So that was my thoughts on that. If you want to close out with your thoughts on what Elon shared.
Yeah. That was sad. Sad that you can just hear it in his voice and the way that he's like trying to process it as he's even delivering what he was feeling. Yeah, and I think that when there's an opportunity to speak with a young person who's like conflicted or they're like confused, that's one thing about young people today. A lot of them are confused. They don't even know what they believe. They're kind of a lot ride this middle fence post for a lot of them. And there's studies that show that prove that too. I was actually selected years ago, right before COVID, to go up to Gen Z in Atlanta to a Gen Z conference. It was like a closed group, 100 people recorded and simulated, and it was part of the Barna Group, which is a research group. And somehow I put my name in the hat and got 2 tickets. And my wife and I went up there and spent overnight, and everything was paid for. So it was super cool just to be a part of that, and I have a research book and stuff like that. And that was before COVID. Obviously, things have happened since COVID. Yeah. People's feelings and stuff. And so, but you can do your own research and see. But they write a fence post, and then and they don't want to offend either side, and so you have the main influencers of a kid is the parents, and then second would be I would consider media and friend groups. They would kind of be lumped in the same, like media and friend groups. So if you have a kid that's really isolated, then their media is going to be high because they're kind of isolated. Family is probably not a big thing for them, and so but it's going to be media. And then you have some kids that family is everything, but the family allows them to have any friends or whatever, and then as much media as they want. And teenagers consume 7.5 hours on their phone daily, and so up to 13 hours of technology in a day.
Yeah.
So there's 24 hours. So like 10 hours you're getting stuff done. So like, yeah. So they're just we all at some level are consumers too. So, and so because of that, when you have an opportunity to talk to a young person, talk with them, don't talk at them, because they don't do well. Back in the day, we could talk at people, your grandma, everybody could just talk at you until you're like, you're generational, you could take that. Now it's just not like that. So you have more favor if you talk with them through it, because they are really curious. They're extremely curious, and they're even the ones who grew up in intact homes and have a really good sense of life, they're still very, very curious. And so if they're not thinking about things, they're thinking about their friends who are thinking about things, and they usually know somebody. And so, but if there is somebody that is conflicted in that, I think it's your duty as a human to let them know, hey, this could be some dangerous things.
Yeah.
This is dangerous. And so, and kids want to learn. I mean, that's why they watch YouTube sometimes of people playing video games for hours at a time, because they learn in new codes and learning. Right. They're learners by nature now. They consume, like I said, They consume a lot of data, and so be a voice, and don't shy away from that too. But don't talk at kids, talk with them. So I think that's a huge thing. And if there's parents too, there's always a lot of young parents too that could have lots of questions because they're confused. And just make sure you have a voice with them.
Yeah.
Like, use your voice, like literally. But don't just a word on counseling. Don't talk at them. Talk with them.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that goes far.
Yeah.
Far. Yeah, man. So.
Well, we have come to the end of this episode, but we are excited about the episodes to come. We're going to have many more interviews coming up. We've already named a few people off the top of our head that we need to set schedules up with.
That's right.
Just more conversations with men about the things that we deal with and the challenges and who we need to be as men.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
And excited for what's to come. Thank you for those who are joining us, for staying with us, and for being here over our first year.
Yep.
Some of you have joined late in the game, but we're glad that you're out there.
Yep. Glad you considered a long-term relationship with us. And so, yeah, looking forward to all the interviews. We are kind of sorting through and figuring out how we can make things happen, and looking forward to all the content in the next 25.
Yep. And if you enjoyed this episode, as always, like, share it, spread the word, help grow the Male Cartel. We greatly appreciate it, so that we can help other men on their journey of manhood.
Yep. Let's go. All right. Peace. See you next time.
Be 1% better every day. We'll see you.
Thank you for joining the Male Cartel Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share to help other men join the cartel. You can also keep up with us on social media and at malecartel.com.